Why in the F is that security guard all up on Sophie Cunningham? And look, I think there is a reason she got up in Sophie's face. And I don't think there was any need to sort of bow up to Sophie like that.
At the end of the day, Sophie's crime was caring about her team. She was cheering in a leg brace. For that, she was confronted like a threat. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about how the WNBA treats players who don't fit their mold, I don't know what does, and fans are not letting this one go. The outrage is growing. The WNBA can try to spin it, but people have made up their minds. Sophie Cunningham was wronged, and the league looks petty again.
Oh my God.
So here we are. Another night where the story isn't the Fever's win, but the WNBA's nonsense. Fans are furious. Sophie stood her ground, and the league once again embarrassed itself. What do you think? Was this about rules, or was Sophie targeted on purpose? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and make sure you subscribe for more no-filter sports talk.
Odyssey Sims hit the floor very hard during the game last night, and her teammates came out to the floor to check on her, except, of course, the girls on the bench, Caitlin Clark, Chloe Bibby, Sophie Cunningham, they came to half court. Did not cross the line, by the way. But for whatever reason, we had a situation involving Paula Blart, mall cop. That's right, played this time in the role by Wheezy from Jefferson, the Jeffersons. Showed up last night to try to check Sophie Cunningham. Did she think Sophie Cunningham was about to run out there cause an incident? Sophie Cunningham's in a damn leg contraption. It's not even a brace, it's like a contraption.
The Indiana Fever, against all odds, finally seized a playoff moment that should have been pure celebration. But this is the WNBA, where joy often takes a backseat to drama. Picture this. Sophie Cunningham, her leg in a brace from a season-ending injury, simply trying to soak in the victory with her teammates. Instead of sharing in that triumph, she found herself face-to-face with a league security guard who seemed determined to manufacture a crisis, barking at her in the middle of a jubilant scene.
To see if this should be upgraded in any way. Odyssey was holding her right.
The fans, to put it mildly, were not pleased. A question began to bubble up across social media. Is the WNBA deliberately targeting Sophie, perhaps because her confident, outspoken nature doesn't align with their preferred image? Let me know what you think in the comments. The atmosphere was electric. The Fever had just clinched one of their biggest wins in recent memory, advancing in the playoffs even without the phenomenal Caitlin Clark, who has been sidelined. The energy in the arena was palpable, a team defying expectations and a fan base roaring its approval.
And I think we all know that if there's one thing that male sports fans want to see in their spaces and on their screens, it's more of me.
Amidst the celebration, there was Sophie Cunningham, a sidelined competitor offering passionate support from the bench. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing provocative. Just a player, clad in street clothes, enthusiastically applauding her team. It was like a scene from a bad movie. For some reason, her presence was apparently enough to provoke one of the WNBA's own security guards. Out of thin air, this guard approached Sophie and confronted her with an intensity that suggested she had just incited a riot, rather than simply cheering. And let's be perfectly clear, Sophie was nowhere near the scorer's table, and she certainly wasn't stepping on the court. She was near mid-court, cheering her heart out and violating no conceivable rule. But in a move that has become all too familiar for the WNBA, the optics quickly spiraled into the main story. You could read the emotions on Sophie's face as it unfolded. First, confusion, which morphed into disbelief, followed by that signature Cunningham glare. And who could possibly blame her? She's wearing a cumbersome leg brace, a clear sign she's not about to sprint onto the floor. But instead of a professional approach, the guard chose aggression, leaning into Sophie's space and shouting at her like a troublemaker. The clip went viral instantly, not because Sophie did anything wrong, but because it illuminated the bizarre double standard that has followed her career. The fan backlash was immediate and furious. Social media erupted. The narrative shifted from the Fever's incredible win to the outrageous treatment of an injured Sophie Cunningham, who was treated like a criminal for cheering. The outrage was swift and justified, because this wasn't just an isolated event. It was another example in a troubling pattern. Consider how Sophie is portrayed compared to her WNBA counterparts. She's unapologetically herself, outspoken, confident, and never one to shy away from her true feelings. She is also one of the few players who openly challenges the league's approved narratives. For that, she has found herself in the crosshairs of certain media and rival fan bases. It's no secret that Sophie Cunningham has been cast as the WNBA's villain, but when the league's own staff treats her as such during a playoff win, a line has been crossed. Let's analyze this. The Fever have just fought their way into the semifinals. The players on the bench, Caitlin Clark, Chloe Bibby, and Sophie Cunningham, are all celebrating from the sidelines. None of them cross onto the court. Yet somehow, only Sophie is confronted. Why? Was Caitlin yelled at? No. Was Chloe singled out? No. Just Sophie. Fans noticed this immediately. Comment sections were flooded with people calling out the blatant double standard. Some were brutally honest, suggesting Sophie is targeted because she's white, blonde, and doesn't fit the league's preferred storylines. Others pointed to the hypocrisy. If a player like Angel Reese or Natasha Cloud had been in the same position, they argued the league would have praised their passion. But for Sophie, she gets unfairly labeled as entitled and out of control. The irony is that Sophie handled it with remarkable composure. She stood her ground, refusing to be intimidated. But it was painfully obvious the confrontation was unnecessary. The guard wasn't maintaining order. She was creating a spectacle, and when fans saw that, their frustration boiled over. This incident cuts deeper than a single confrontation. It speaks to the league's persistent problem with players who dare to be different. Caitlin Clark has navigated this for 2 seasons now, a constant target on the court, enduring hard fouls while media narratives diminish her impact. And Sophie, always a polarizing figure, is caught in the same web. Instead of capitalizing on her popularity, the WNBA seems determined to undermine her. Let's not ignore the numbers. Whether WNBA execs admit it or not, Sophie Cunningham is one of the most popular players in the league. She trends on social media, her highlights get clicks, and her presence elevates the Fever's profile. Fans are invested in her. In a league desperate for attention and growth, that should be a valuable asset. But instead, the league allows moments like this, where Sophie is publicly embarrassed by a guard during a playoff celebration. Now, let's delve into the fan reaction, because it was brutal. Within minutes, hashtags like Free Sophie and WNBA Exposed were trending. Fans lambasted the league for selective enforcement and for trying to silence players who don't conform. The comments were scathing, referring to the officer as a power-hungry mall cop and the latest star of the WNBA's clown show. That harshness reflects how fed up fans are. They want to celebrate basketball, but instead, they watch league officials manufacture drama from nothing. And that is the crux of the issue. The WNBA loves to talk about growth and ratings. But every time the spotlight shines, an incident like this occurs. Instead of the Fever's win being the story, it becomes about Sophie Cunningham being accosted by security. That's not just bad optics, it's self-sabotage. This league has a PR problem, and it keeps getting worse. Fans are tired of the double standards and don't want to see their favorite players treated like criminals for cheering. And here's the real kicker. This wasn't some chaotic brawl. This was a moment of pure, wholesome celebration. If the WNBA can't even let its players enjoy that without manufacturing a controversy, what hope do they have of convincing casual fans to care? This situation didn't just fade away. It gained more traction as fans dug deeper. Clips of Caitlin Clark and Chloe Bibby cheering in the exact same moments surfaced, online. Both were standing shoulder to shoulder with Sophie, yet neither was confronted. No officer approached Caitlyn. No one barked at Chloe. Just Sophie. That's when fans pieced it together. This wasn't about enforcing a rule. It was about sending a message. And Sophie Cunningham is not just another player. She is a force of nature, outspoken, fiery, and unwilling to conform. She's not the media darling Paige Buchers. She isn't the league-endorsed Angel Reese. And she isn't afraid to challenge authority. That combination has made her polarizing, but also incredibly popular, a popularity the WNBA desperately needs. But instead of embracing her, the league seems to go out of its way to diminish her. Look at their marketing, or how they react to controversies involving her. When Sophie gets into it with a rival, she's the villain. When someone else does, it's celebrated as passion. It's laughably transparent. This incident only added fuel to the fire. Fans saw her being publicly singled out and weren't buying the excuses. The questions flooded social media. Why Sophie? Why now? Why was a player in a leg brace suddenly a security threat? None of it added up, unless you accept the uncomfortable truth. Sophie Cunningham is being targeted. So, what does this mean for the league? These incidents shape the perception of the entire WNBA. Casual viewers, drawn in by Caitlin Clark's stardom, see this, and they don't see professionalism. They see pettiness. They see a league more interested in drama than basketball. That's a massive problem, because perception is everything. You can boast about ratings, but if fans think your league is a joke, none of it matters. This is why many people still don't take the WNBA seriously. Not because of the talent, but because of the nonsense surrounding the product. Fans let the league have it. Comments poured in, blasting Commissioner Kathy Engelbert for presiding over the most embarrassing league in sports. Some even called for her resignation. When people are more interested in your off-court drama than your on-court product, that's not growth, it's failure. Meanwhile, Sophie handled it like a pro. She didn't lash out, but she also didn't back down. Her body language said it all. "You will not intimidate me." Fans rallied around her, flooding her social media with support. If the league were smart, they'd recognize that Sophie's popularity isn't going anywhere. Every time she's targeted, her fan base grows stronger. But the WNBA hasn't built a reputation for being smart. Look at how they've treated Caitlin Clark, or Lexi Hull, and now Sophie. It's a pattern, and fans are connecting the dots. The league wants to sell the idea that they're growing because of everyone, but the truth is, they're growing because of a handful of players who move the needle. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Buchers, and yes, Sophie Cunningham. The rest of the league benefits from those names. Yet, instead of supporting them all, the league picks favorites. It's a short-sighted strategy that will backfire. Fans aren't stupid. They see the double standards and the hypocrisy. Eventually, they'll tune out. They'll stop supporting a league that treats its own stars like enemies. The WNBA had a chance to use the Fever's playoff run as a moment of celebration. Instead, they let a security guard barking at Sophie Cunningham become the headline. They could have highlighted Lexi Hull's heroics or Aaliyah Boston's dominance. Instead, fans are talking about mall cop antics. That's self-destructive.